So, we need to talk about Future Redeemed. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed came out recently and holy fuck, I was so excited. I was so excited that when Future Redeemed finally came out, I played the DLC for 16 hours straight. 16 hours! In these 16 hours, I explored a lot and managed to finish the game. But was the game really that good, or was it a little bit of a disappointment? To see if Future Redeemed was really that good, I'll look at 6 different aspects of the game, which decides if the game was really up to standards of the other Xenoblade Chronicles games. So we are going to talk about storyline, characters, gameplay, graphics and music, replay value, and strengths and weaknesses. Okay, now that we got that covered, let's start with the video. If you have ever played a Xenoblade Chronicles game in your entire life, you know that every Xenoblade Chronicles game has a super good storyline with a lot of plot twists, and this prequel is no exception at all. On the Nintendo America website, the following is stated about the story and the mechanics of Future Redeemed. This story features a new main character and details events taking place before the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 game. This completely original story tells a yet untold tale connecting all 3 games in the Xenoblade Chronicles series. In this adventure, new protagonist Matthew sets out with his ally A in a search for his missing sister and survivors from the city of Sword March following its devastation at the hands of Mobius. Discover newly added systems like union combos, enabling 2 characters to team up, and affinity goals that power up your characters based on the experience they have along their journey. Experience a new adventure packed with exciting changes to the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 formula in Future Redeemed. In my case, I found the story much simpler than, for example, the one in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. However, I did not expect otherwise because it is a DLC story instead of a mainline game story. So they have to tell a whole story in about 20 hours instead of a mainline Xenoblade Chronicles game that has an average of 60 hours. And although the story is a little bit more on the simpler side, I really enjoyed the story. I'd like to keep this video spoiler free, so I'm not going into details, but there are definitely some plot twists and answers to questions that we had from previous Xenoblade Chronicles games. As for the characters of Future Redeemed, of course we have our new 6 characters of the party, named Matthew, A, Nicole, Glimmer, and the protagonist of Xenoblade Chronicles, Shulk, and of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Rex, respectively. First we have Matthew. Matthew is an attacker and fights with his fists. When you go to Riku to upgrade your weapon, his weapon is called the Ouroboros Knuckles. A is a healer and fights with a thin Monado, simply called Monado. I know, crazy. Nicole is a defender and fights with a kind of backpack that looks a lot like Nope on the wing. His weapon is called a variable backpack. Glimmer is a healer along with A, and Wildfire Guitarra is a kind of a staff. I need to say this about Glimmer. This sound effect has changed my life. And now Shulk, which is not a new phase of course. Shulk is a defender and battles with the Monado Rex plot. And last but not least, the Gigachat himself, Rex, who fights with both Aegis swords called Firelight swords as an attack. For some reason I think this is a very nice party because everyone has a thing what makes them relatable or enjoyable. My top 3 have to be A, Glimmer and Rex. Sorry Shulk fans. I also found this cast quite memorable and felt that each character was unique, even though many are related to characters from previous games. However, these characters were still super unique in my opinion, and it was a nice cast to play with. About the gameplay, I can only say that I find it a very nice way to play. The battle system has many elements from Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but is also unique in some aspects. The interlink function is gone. Completely gone. And has been replaced with a powerful force that can execute 2 characters and also do a union combo, such as Hellstream on the enemy. I thought this was quite a nice addition, and in my opinion this is the battle system that is the easiest to understand for newcomers to the series. I did of course not do every single side quest, not yet, but I really like the side quests which I have done. I did a lot in Colony 9, and yeah, I do really like Xenoblade side quests in general. I know some do not, but I really do. Maybe in this game I did like them even more because some had lore in them. The Affinity scenes has some deep lore from Xenoblade Chronicles 1 or 2, so I'm really eager to find them all and to watch them all and eventually to know all the lore behind those Affinity scenes. We can actually just skip this section because we all know that the music is god tier and the graphics are god tier for a Nintendo Switch game. So to begin with the graphics, I found it really beautiful actually, and frames are 30 frames per second, but that's just the Nintendo Switch. And I don't know how Monolith Soft does this every single time, but the areas look phenomenal. So I'm really excited about that. But let's now talk about the music. It is just only bangers. I want this video to be spoiler free, so I'm not going to talk about some. The music is just god tier. I did not expect otherwise because it is a Xenoblade game. It is made by Monolith Soft. They only make bangers. For the music, it is a 10 out of 10, 100 out of 10, more than 100. As for replayability, that depends on your point of view. On the one hand, you can focus on the story in your first playthrough and focus more on side quests in your second playthrough. But on the other hand, you can just do side quests and the main story combined, or just only play the main story. There is no New Game Plus unlike the base game. But despite that, there is certainly still replay value for me because I want to know everything and investigate everything in this DLC, and want to 100% each area and want to find everything. But if, for example, only the story interests you and not the side quest or the side lore, then I'll say just finish it and wait for the next Xenoblade game, and maybe replay it when you 50% forgot what happened in Future Redeemed. I don't have really much to say for strengths and weaknesses. This game is just really a banger, and did we expect otherwise? No. It did even improve things from the base game, such as you can see which area you got 100%, and it's just such a goated DLC. As for my only weakness, I can only come up with one, and that is that for Future Redeemed you actually have to have played Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, 3 and Torna and Future Connected, because there are just so many references that you would otherwise miss, and at some point you will no longer fully understand the story because this is closure of the Glass trilogy, so everything is combined and everything comes together. You get almost every answer to questions that you had since the launch of Xenoblade Chronicles 1. However, this is not a big weakness because you just need to play every Xenoblade Chronicles game. There are just such masterpieces, and it is my favorite game franchise that I ever played in my entire life, and you certainly won't regret it. Now, that was the video. So to the question, is Future Connected really good, and is it up to the standards of the other games? I say 100% yes. Monolith Soft doesn't disappoint. I want to thank everyone again for the support on the last video, and I promise to upload more regularly. And yeah, I think that is it. Until the next video.